Welcome back to Dark Souls 2, everybody. We're still here at the Primal Bonfire down at the very bottom of the Brightstone Cove Lore. And last time I did say I was going to go back and talk a little bit about the lore of this area, because in my opinion it's one of the most interesting areas in Dark Souls 2, looking at, not only lore, also a lot of other things, but lore is certainly something we can talk about right now. While I'm not the, conclusive source to any of this, I'm not, Mr. Lord, not even Mr. Lord, Mr. Lore himself, Jesus, I do have a few interpretations and would just like to talk about a few of them. So, this is where we fought Freya last time, and of course, that was a pretty nasty boss fight, but something that a lot of people will miss is the dragon here in the background. And that is, of course, very curious. All the spiders in that cutscene when you first enter this room, crawl into its mouth, and Freya hops down from it. It feels like that dragon right there has quite some importance. And that is something at least in your first playthrough, a lot of people will just not really think too much about. But when you then do New Game Plus, and I don't think I've ever talked about this in an episode so far. In New Game Plus, you will find new souls after killing bosses. You will, for example, if you kill Freya, get the soul of a pale drake's soul. And also, same with, for example, the Old Iron King. You will get the Old King's soul. Or, with the Sinner, you will get the Old Witch soul and stuff like that. And then, of course, having played Dark Souls 1, you will realize that the Pale Drake very much could be referencing Seath, and that the Old King could be referencing Gwyn, Old Witch, of course, the Witch of Izalith, and stuff like that. And that, of course, then really makes this area really interesting, because you have giant dragon fossil in the background. Granted, it does not necessarily look like Seath, but also the way that the soul is very much in front of some kind of crystal, and as you can see, there's very much a crystal forming here right now. Chances are it's very much Seath, and chances are that we once again have some evidence that this is very much taking place in the same, just geographical location, just many, many, many years later. And then this guy that we killed, that is actually Duke Seldora. So that is the guy that was basically the Duke of this area. Really just big, very influential guy. And then we just killed him with 2 stabs, and that was it. And the cool thing about all of this is, if you read up on the item descriptions and combine things, you will realize that he was obsessed with spiders. And basically, what I at least would assume is that this little cage right here, while I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, it does not look like something a spider, or you would put a spider in. At least in real life that wouldn't make sense, but the way it's busted up and it's seemingly, the way seemingly something has escaped from it, I would probably say that this is where Freya used to be kept in, after then being basically, influenced by that Pale Drake's soul, making her a lot more substantial than she used to be. There's certainly a lot of cool things to the Brightstone Cove, and I did not even mean to go back here. God damn it, I was gonna go back up, as a matter of fact. Then again, I don't think I can go there without resting at a bonfire, so it's probably a good idea to just use the bonfire right here, and then come back to the Brightstone Cove using the teleportation. But just to make sure that we have this primal bonfire activated, I will use it. I probably lit it already. I didn't say anything just now, so chances are I already did that last time. But it's better to make sure and not fuck such a big and important thing up. But anyway, yeah, it's really interesting like that, because if you play through this game, and especially if you then also move on over to New Game Plus, you'll realize that there's much more to it than you initially might have been thinking. There are very, very strong like pieces of evidence that suggest that the souls of the great lords from Lordran are still around and are still influencing stuff. And I've teased it kind of previously when fighting the lost sinner. What crawls into its eye? Little bug. And the little bug is also what you had to kill in that lost Izalith boss fight, the Bed of Chaos. So that basically kind of hints at that the old witch is still around. And then of course, yeah, Soul basically being the only indication for that old Iron King boss fight and its relevance. But yeah, I don't know. I find that to be really cool in the way they handled that, because it's not really just out there, right? It's not like they want you to 100% figure that stuff out. It's a new game plus. It's a little reward for committed players. I almost got petrified there. God damn it, that was the closest fucking thing ever. Jesus. Alright, let's slow down for a second here. No need to now have my excitement over the lore cause my death. Certainly no need for that. But yeah, as I was saying, it's really interesting that they allow like the really committed users and players to get a little bit more out of the lore and really tie it together. Because especially with that whole Seath part, that is actually the part that you can explore the most out of all of the reoccurring Lord Souls. You can very much later on, as already hinted at by that whole crystal forming there, do something with it, and very similar to, I cannot believe this actually now happened. God damn it. I've never been petrified before. I never have. Well, that was at least nice to see. I should have been more careful. All I want to do is get something that I really just don't, but still want to show off. And now I have to deal with this bullshit. Well, that just goes to show that whatever you do, should be very careful whenever you play Dark Souls. It's not a walk in the park. It certainly isn't. Anyway, now we're gonna go back and properly do this. There's no need for me to dick around for that long. Also no need, especially to get petrified. But, I don't know. What can you do? Now, we're gonna be less stupid about things, very effective about things, very successful hopefully as well. There's another guy behind. Oh, shit. Okay. Guys, I really just need to slow down right now. Let's two-hand this bitch, kill these guys, and move on with our lives, because that is now like the very definition of ridiculous or ridiculousness. I couldn't decide whether I was gonna define the noun or... Oh, be careful of the petrifying cloud of doom, because supposedly that is now dangerous, very much unlike my previous like 60 plus hours in Dark Souls 2. Okay, there's two guys up there. I could probably lightning spear those guys. That is very much something I should be doing, just to make it a little bit easier on myself. But, alright. I was talking about something earlier before I then got petrified and almost died to spiders like a minute ago. Because, yeah, that crystal forming down in the cave, we will be able to go back to that and use that at a later point in the game, very much like late game territory is what I would call that. And yeah, that is basically the cooler part about it, because you will get to see even more about like its connections to previous events and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of that. Right, and now we're gonna have to fight these spider motherfuckers right here. Hopefully gonna be easy to do using the lightning spears. I didn't feel like shooting my arrows because I didn't have too many anyway, and I would have had to switch them out and stuff like that. So let's just use this. And now, having picked up the Seldora key, or Brightstone key is actually what they call it, we can enter this room Enemy ahead and then enemy ahead. Well, I can see that. Oh my god. I never went here before. I just know that it opens that door. Yeah, and they totally are going to jump out and come attack me. That sucks a great deal. I didn't know whether they would come out or not. But alright. I guess I can deal with a few of you guys. Maybe some lightning spears since they do a little bit of like an area of effect, I guess. And then just kind of trap him right here in the doorway. Take care of him that way. Probably a good method to that whole encounter. Anyway, the only reason why I'm going here is because in this very chest right here, there will be a pretty neat item for a lot of you guys out there. Something that I certainly wouldn't want to miss if I was a sorcerer, because there's the great fireball in here, and you can only open that after killing Freya and after retrieving that whole Brightstone key. So anyway, now that we've dealt with all of this, dealt with the lore of this area, I'm gonna hurry the heck up and get started with the next section of Dark Souls 2. I hope you didn't mind me hanging out a little bit longer here in the Brightstone Cove. It's certainly an area I'm very fond of, and hopefully I managed to illustrate why that is to some extent. At the very least, I would already be happy with yeah, at least some of you getting something out of what we just did. But anyway, now, of course, having finished 3 paths in Dark Souls 2, there's only one left. We have covered basically 3 great souls. So the Old Iron King, I should say, and the Lost Sinner, and now, of course, Freya, or whoever that soul belonged to. And we're now going to move on to the last one. Of course, as you probably know, there's only one section of Majula that we never went to, and that is very much the pit located in its center, and that is what we're doing right now. The good thing is, though, we have talked to Gilligan before, and that was in the Earthen Peak, at like the side of it, where he already crafted a little ladder for us. And now, the very, very awesome thing is that he can basically do the same thing right here in Majula. What I'm doing right now is just checking whether I can upgrade my Black Seal Katana, because I certainly want to do that just to get some more damage out of it. I still have not picked up a bolt stone, so like what I would have to use in order to then make it a lightning Black Steel Katana, but it doesn't really matter too much right now. I'm already happy with where it's at, it being like plus 10 or whatever. Where is it even? I don't really know what it looks like. There we go. But yeah, certainly if we run into a bolt stone, that's what I'm gonna do. Otherwise, I mean, it's probably still gonna be fine. Right, Gilligan, you will have to now help me out a little bit here, because we know that you make ladders, and we are in desperate need of a ladder right here. And let's now talk to him and make him craft not only 1, not 2, but a total of 3 ladders. We're going to start with the 12,000 one, because that is going to make him craft the longest ladder that he can craft. He will also give you a very unique item that should also then give you a trophy, because that's like a whole NPC connected trophy, like there are quite a few in Dark Souls 2. And yeah, this is ladder number 1. Not my favorite ladder, but a ladder regardless. And basically, why you'd want to do this is just to have access to different levels of that pit. It's not necessary to do this by any stretch. The pit is something you can do basically as soon as you enter Majula, as soon as you start the game. That is a path you can go down. All you need is the ring from Shelqua. She has like the silver cat ring that reduces falling damage. So if you just buy that and hop down like that, it certainly works. All you need is, as I was saying, that money for the ring, and then of course also the health required for that, because while it does reduce the damage, doesn't mean that it completely gets rid of it. You will still probably die falling down. And I've personally done that quite a few times myself. But anyway, now that we've dealt with all of this, we have everything that we'd want. 3 ladders, it's really neat. We can talk to him a little bit more and he will give us the scimitar. That is that unique item that I was talking about. And now we're just going to move on a little bit right here. So I always forget which ladder it is that I want to go down. Because usually the way I do it is actually using that cat ring. And since we do have the money...
The scent of one with quite the catalogue of sins. Oh, don't feel bad. I'm sure your mother's still proud.
Yeah, stop there for a second because she often says very, very interesting and important things. So I would highly suggest talking to her whenever you do something important. Just for the sake of time, though, I'm probably not going to listen to all her dialogue, but we might as well check out a few more things. I don't know when she actually triggers, or when you trigger new dialogue, but she certainly talks a lot about lore. She talks a lot about who you killed, what their kind of relevance was. So, Shalquar right here in the cat, certainly one of the bigger sources of lore in the game. Despite her, like, being a freaking cat. But yeah, that is something you can certainly do. She also talks about a lot of the things that I was already hinting at a little bit earlier. So, probably want to go down this one now that I'm thinking about it. There might be like an Estus shard or something on one of these. Yeah, like little planks, I guess, is what you'd call them or something like that. And now let's pay attention. That is probably where we want to enter. Yeah, there's a bunch of entrances right here. But I don't know. I never really know how to get to them and when to get to them. And apparently we now went past that one. So that sucks a great deal. And I don't necessarily want to go down that one because that is then going to skip an area that I very much wanted to do in this episode today. Because it's rather short, we can still probably fit that in, despite me talking so much about the Brightstone Cove in the beginning there. Alright, so in fact we are going to go back up. I thought this might speed things up. Guess what? Very much slowed things down. Now we're going to go back up and use that cat ring and do things the old-fashioned / more risky / I guess kind of more exciting way as well. So let's enter our ring menu and equip. Well, what do we want to equip? Do we like the Ring of Binding? I guess having been petrified, we certainly would like it, but whatever the case, I can just use a human effigy anyway. Oh god. It's kind of weird that I'm still having issues with navigating the menus. Certainly sucks, but what can you do? What can you do? Not as bad as when I first started playing Dark Souls 2, because for a time there I was really put off by the way they handled the menus and stuff like that. But not too bad anymore. Still, just every once in a while I do get stuck for a second or two. Anyway, Pharaoh's Lockstone is actually really good. Now, this is very dangerous. I guess this ladder would have been something for me to use. Didn't realize that it went right here though. And I don't know. What can you do? Jump is something you can do and very much miss. God damn it. That is the big issue with that whole section. I don't think I have ever had a playthrough where I did not fall down at least once, because that jump is quite a pain in the ass. You have to jump from one side of the pit to the complete opposite. And yeah, I mean, it sucks that we now have to load again and have to postpone all of this yet again, but I'm sure we can get there and now make it happen. It's pretty dangerous. It's pretty dangerous, but I also kind of like what they're doing with that, because when I first started playing Dark Souls 2, simply that moment, that whole realization that this is a fucking, like, ridiculous death pit is already really cool. Like, this is just fucked up right here, and I very much like that. Just because it's such a Dark Souls thing to do. In other games, this wouldn't be like the biggest issue, I don't think, but if you play Dark Souls 1, you're gonna realize that shit's dangerous. Alright, so that was much better now, wasn't it? And now all we gotta do is hop down onto that one, and that is then going to allow us to enter the next area of the game. Not too bad, I just effed up that jump. So, maybe in hindsight, the way you want to do that is not like slide along the wall as you jump, but very much jump straight across. Right, rest of the bonfire, and I don't know whether the text already popped up, I didn't quite pay attention to that. But we are now going to be entering the... Is it going to pop up? Did it already pop up? I mean, it's not like I'm spoiling a whole heck of a lot, but we are now entering the Grave of the Saints, and I'm actually being summoned as a Grey Spirit. That sucks. I still don't know what exactly causes that to trigger. It's happened to me before, though. But I mean, I guess I shouldn't complain. We, at the very least, are now going to be doing a little bit of like online play, which is something, as I was saying, I believe already last time, is something I haven't done much. Like, I think that one time that I got summoned as a Grey Phantom was probably already it. That was probably already it. But alright. So this is basically, as far as I understand it, as far as I know, I don't know, you being summoned to invade somebody, like a forced invasion, you could say. But I don't really understand that, because enemies still trigger, and that could either be because of them using a certain item that makes that happen, or just invasions, gray, whatever invasions you want to call these, I don't even know, just working out like that. So I really couldn't tell you why all of this is happening and what the rules are right now, but we're just gonna try to find the host and then dispose of him and see what he's all about. Gonna be interesting to see like a different character and the way he moves and does things. Apparently very much a sorcerer, but of course I probably don't really have too much against that. I'm taking a lot of damage though. I don't even know if I want to heal necessarily. You might suspect that I am going to heal. Jesus, but I'm not hitting him either. Just drink an Estus. It's probably a dick move still. That probably hasn't changed from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2. God damn it, alright. This is really exciting though. I'm liking it. It's just that now, of course, having dropped down here doesn't quite help me out the way I maybe would like it to. Usually you can drop down lock stones like this, and then that's going to lower the bridge and you can go across. I would like to do that, because of course him being up there very much sucks. Very much sucks. Then again, what can he do? You can hit me with the sorcery, but it doesn't look like he has too big of a sorcery anyway. Maybe if I... Alright, let's do some smart things right here. I need a shield that blocks more magic than mine currently does. So for example, the 85 right here would be amazing. So let's just do that for a second. Alright, and follow him up. Okay, there's a lot of rats here. Kind of want to probably kill them first. Jesus, but he's really just... He's giving me a hard time. I'm having a hard time hitting him. Ah, and there we go. I destroyed the fucker. I mean, did end up using a few S's there, which maybe wasn't all that fair. But I don't know. I enjoyed that. That was rather interesting. At least we got to do some online stuff right now. And that probably also is going to make this episode even more exciting than it already was. Because, I mean, you were already at the edge of your seat when we entered the Grave of Saints. But now, having done all of this, I don't even know how much closer to the edge of a seat you can get. So that is quite crazy. Where do we get dropped off now, though? Oh, it's just back here. That is okay by me. Anyway, of course now we have to do all of this again. As I was saying earlier, though, it's still a very, very small area. It's also very much an optional area. I think I already kind of talked a little bit about that when we were inside of that pit. Because you can, by having Gilligan drop down one of the more expensive ladders, completely circumvent this area. Then again, it's probably still a pretty neat one to do. I always like to go here. I don't know. I'm never too comfortable with like knowingly skipping parts of a game. Because I mean, while I'm doing that, I could also just have a good time killing some stuff and apparently also being killed by rats. Because I'm once again not really paying all that much attention to my stamina, and stamina is very important. Anyway, now having dealt with those guys, we are probably going to drop down a Pharaoh's Lockstone right here, just to show off what is over there, but then soon after, we're going to go to the next boss fight and then deal with that. Now, this room should very much also spawn rats on me. Just gotta wait for it to happen. I feel like they're gonna come out of that, out of those grave tomb sections, and still very easy to deal with, of course. One moment I say that, the other moment I get petrified. It's not like that's never happened before. And apparently also some kind of sorcery or whatever that was. Then there's a bridge leading back, but of course you have to first of all use another lockstone in order to make that work for you. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's flooded, and I wish there was more to it, because once again I kind of like it aesthetically, right? I like that there's like a water section down there, because they could have done something more I guess more similar to, for example, the New Launder Ruins. Not like I mean, it's not like I really just appreciate the New Launder Ruins for everything that they are. I'm not a big fan of the ruins. I actually find them to be very difficult, and I hate going there usually whenever I play Dark Souls. But still, I don't know, I would like to get closer to that water, I guess is what I'm saying. So of course there's a bonfire right here. There's no real need to fuck with those rats though, and also certainly not to do that in like a literal sense. So let's just rest at the bonfire and then get started with that next boss fight, as I was saying. Okay then, do we have everything? No, we do want to switch out this shield again, because this is not going to be the best thing for us. Right. Is there anything? We could do some gold pine resin, I guess. So why don't we just pop that on our bar? Probably more important than the throwing knives. Or like the poisonous throwing knives against rats. I don't know. They probably don't care too much. At least in video game logic, I would expect them to not really worry too much about that. Right, but this boss fight is a rather unique one, because of course you do not get to really see a health bar right here. It's just a fuck ton of rats. That's basically what it is for now. But I guess also in that regard it is pretty similar to the other rat boss fight in Dark Souls 2, because as you might remember, with the Royal Red Authority, you also had to first of all fight some rats, and only then you got to fight the actual one. And that is also what is going to be happening right here. I'm very close to getting petrified, I'm now having to realize. And I cannot believe that this is now happening for the second time in one episode, because trust me, believe me, I've never been petrified prior to this episode. So that is quite something. Also something I should certainly pay more attention to. And there we go. Now the Royal Rat Vanguard has shown up. He has like a spiky hairstyle, so that is how you know where he is and who he is. And he's right next to me, and he poisons you like crazy, so I want to get out. But if we can use the lightning spear against him, that is probably gonna end very quickly for us then. Or at least the fight is gonna end quickly. It's gonna end quickly for them is what I should be saying, because I'm not saying that using the lightning spear makes us lose. In fact, probably the opposite is going to be the case. It makes us win. And, oh, I did get poisoned. So let's use the life gem to counteract that a little bit. And I also never used my gold pine resin. Probably something I want to do right now. Because now, once we figure out where he is, and that is basically the biggest issue that you're going to be having right here, we can probably take him down rather quickly. I'm very close to dying, though. Shit, no. I'm gonna die. Ah, I still have the fucking gold pine resin equipped. That sucks so much. I'm doing so terribly today. But that just happens every once in a while in Dark Souls. God. Anyway, we're gonna jump right back in. Luckily, there's a bonfire right in front of it. I should not have died. But I did. I mean, yeah. To be honest here, I did pay little attention to a bunch of things just now. Really just way too many things I didn't quite pay attention to. My stamina, I kind of lost track of that closer to the end. And then also, of course, me never really equipping gold pine resin was also something I'm not necessarily proud of, because that should make all of these encounters a lot easier, unless I of course hit the statues. But let's just set up like a base of operations right here. All we gotta do is kill rats. I don't know if this is, by the way, like working on a timer or something like that, whether you have to survive for a set amount of time and only then the Vanguard shows up, or whether you need to kill a set amount of these guys for him to show up. Could very much be either one of those, but still, I mean, while we're here, while all of these guys are attacking me, I might as well go ahead and kill them, I guess. And usually, just look for an opening, run to the other side, and listen to me now talking like I actually have like a proper strategy for this. And I think this now basically confirmed to me, at the very least, that it's very much a killing thing, not so much a time thing. Right, but the guy dropped down, of course, and now the way we want to deal with all of this is make some room and then probably spam some lightning spears directly onto him, because those do a crap ton of damage, and I'm a big fan of that. Alright, so look for an opening. This is very much like American football. You can just do it very easily like that. Not saying that American football is easy by any stretch. That kind of didn't come out as I wanted it. But alright, just do that, kind of get some safer territory around you, and once again find out where the guy is and kill him. Of course, after being poisoned, that kind of sucks, but having used a life gem just now, we're done with all of this. Jesus. Alright, so guys, that was a difficult one, but luckily it doesn't matter anymore. We have dealt with this whole mess, and now what we could do is go over here to the Rat King. That is another Covenant guy, so you can enter a Covenant right here. I guess we might as well talk to him. Usually I just skip that.
Is that last one of mine rat burrows conquered? This
Yeah, because I mean, I don't even like his Covenant too much anyway.
permit me swear as
And having Picked up the rat tail off of that whole Vanguard fight. We could now join his covenant, but of course, as I was saying, not too big of a fan of that. I would much rather support the heirs of the sun and do things that way. So yeah, with all of that out of the way, what I'm now going to do is rest at the bonfire yet again and end the episode right here, guys. So we took care of the Grave of Saints, also did like a cool kind of invasion. While that maybe wasn't the fairest way of handling such an invasion, certainly was a lot of fun. And we talk a little bit about the lore. So my question to you is, what do you think about all of that whole Brightstone Cove lore? And also, how did you enjoy the rest of this episode? I'm going to be back with more Dark Souls 2, of course. And next time, we are going to go down even further. This is now us descending into the depths of Drang Lake. And soon encountering then the last of the bigger bosses of the early game of Dark Souls 2. Alright, no need to pause there for like a second to make it awkward. Just gonna end it right here. Thank you so much, as I was saying, and see you next time. Goodbye, guys.